Ladies and gentlemen, as Jane mentioned, I've been back and forth to the government in the past 30 years as minister, at least with three portfolios, and the last one as the head of the President Delivery Unit. But one thing that I'd like to share with you is my experience during my Aceh reconstruction time, in which we have to spend $7.2 billion in 4 years' time to build infrastructure and all other facilities that was destroyed by tsunami in December 2004. In just 4 years' time, we succeed to rebuild Aceh and Nias. What is the recipe, basically? And that is something that I'd like to share with all of you, and that's the genesis of this TLFF. And basically that we cannot have our programs planned based on sectoral approach. And we are dealing with problem, say sustainable development, on landscape issues, then for sure you cannot see this or approach that as a sectoral approach. In the government, bureaucrats love to see development as something as their main gain. The word development is full with sectoral things. You watch your government cabinet, then you will see how many sectoral are there. Energy, infrastructure, social, and you name it, education. So that's why if we want to succeed, then you have to change this. But to change a government is not easy. My experience in the RED Plus program, and we have to deal with emission reduction. We are dealing with people living in the forest. And in Indonesia, the poorest people live in the forest, in the hill, and or in the coastline. Those are the poorest people. And now we have to deal with them to try to reduce emission. And I was I was president's head of the President's Delivery Unit, and I have to deal with ministers who knows and only responsible for their own sector. When it comes to emission, then we are dealing with so many sectors. After a while, I understand that things will fail if we just proceed like that. So we change our approach, and we call it the Beyond Carbon, in which we are dealing not immediately with emission, but the crux of the problem, and that's poverty. So poverty alleviation is the approach, because we see without poverty alleviation, then deforestation will still on, forest fire will always be there every year, and you name it. This is something that is really very valuable. Why is it so? Now we enter to a new era in which sustainability is the biggest issue. One case that is really disturbing me from the early Millennium Development Goal program is that we have 9 goals. One of the indicators of the goals is maternal mortality. In 2004, it was 208, and we have to reduce it to 120 per 10,000. What happened in the year 2015? Instead of reduced, it's increased to 280. Unbelievable. Why is it so? Because there is no ministry of maternal mortality. So all ministers blaming other ministers, this is your area of responsibility. Is the responsibility of the Minister of Health? Is it Ministry of Education? Is it Ministry of Public Works who has the responsibility to provide waters? These are the issue. Now we come to an era, landscape, in which for sure the approach should be holistic. When it comes to landscape, we are dealing with improving productivity. In Indonesia, when it comes to productivity of the palm oil smallholders, it's 1/8 or 1/6 of the national average. If we are dealing with 1.6 million family smallholders with that low productivity, for sure there will be big pressure toward the forest, because it is them actually who wants to expand their acreage. What happened in the past 10 years? The deforestation rate went 3 times higher because of this smallholders palm oil estate expansion. We have to deal with them. What does it mean? Improve productivity. Smallholders in Indonesia was defined as the number of acreage a family can manage. So if it's a husband and wife, they can have only 2 hectares. If they have 3 grown-up children, they can have 4 or 5 hectares. So it depends on the number of the families. That is the definition of smallholders. Now we have to deal to improve their productivity. How do you do that? TLFF was initiated. We have been thinking about this in the past 1.5 years. And after satisfied with the final design that has not been implemented, we launched it last month. So this is a new initiative. A new initiative, a kind of experiment, the first of its kind. We don't use government budget, because once you use government budget, then you have to deal with the 1 or 2 ministries, and then you're trapped into the bureaucratic problems. We avoid that. We purely use private funds. We are so lucky that BNP Paribas and ADM is supporting this program. So the smallholders in productive improvement means that we have to, or they have to replant. We have to provide and we have to support the replantation of the plantation, such that 5 years later they can have a much higher productivity. But what happened in the 5 years' time? For sure the commercial credit cannot be used for that. In Indonesia, the interest rate is very high, 24%. If we can use use the private funds from the international and come into Indonesia with to 6 to 7%, that is something that's really beneficial to all of us. So there's a combination of improvement of this low productivity smallholders and improving the livelihood. Here comes the grant element, because the grant element can be used for capacity building, cooperative development, and other skills, or how to make life easy for them in the 5 years' time before the first harvest, and also introducing renewable energy. So there's a combination of commercial loans, commercial soft loan, and the grant element. So these are the things that is basically the basic of this TLFF. And on the ground there's a cooperation between the CSO that is helping us in managing this grant, and the companies that's helping us in coordinating the smallholders, because for sure we cannot deal with 1,000 smallholders. We have to deal with 1 or 2 or 3 companies in which they coordinate a number of smallholders. This is the way we designed this TLFF. Hopefully next year, if we meet in the same session, I can report to you what's happening in the past year. But today, this is just the design. I'm happy to report to all of you that the LFF has been launched 1 month ago with partnership of BNP Paribas, ADM, UNEP, ICRAF. This is a partnership, this is a collaboration, and we believe as an optimist that we are going to succeed. Otherwise, things will become much more difficult. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Kuntoro, and we all look forward to